The Galactic Council station floated in the quiet blackness of space, orbiting a bright blue star called Prime. It was the proud center of peace for the whole galaxy. The great glass halls were filled with hundreds of alien races, tall ones with glowing skin, small ones with silver eyes, and creatures that looked like living metal. They gathered every cycle to speak about trade, borders, and peace. Inside the main hall, voices echoed across the high ceiling as the delegates argued about a minor border issue between two small empires. It was a normal day, calm, predictable, and diplomatic. Then suddenly the entire hall shook. A low alarm hummed through the air, soft at first, then rising sharply. The great star maps hanging in the air flickered. The room fell silent. Every eye turned toward the main display above the center platform. A signal had appeared. An unknown vessel had exited hyperspace near the neutral zone. It was not marked in any database, not registered under any known empire. The shape was massive, larger than any ship on record. It moved slowly without sending any message or signal. The communication officer, a green-skinned vril named Saren, looked up from his console, his voice trembling. Contact at Grid 6A, ship mass 17 million tons. Origin unknown. Energy readings unstable. The Grand Speaker, an old creature with blue crystal horns, frowned. Unknown? Impossible. Every ship is registered under the Council Code. Saren shook his head. This one is not, and it carries markings. Very old markings. The main display zoomed in on the strange ship. It was covered in dark armor plates, some broken and scarred. The hull was painted black with long silver lines, as if made for war. Across one section, half hidden under centuries of dust and impact marks, were faded letters. JSS Retribution. The moment the name appeared, the entire hall gasped. Delegates whispered in panic, their translators filling the room with fragments of shocked speech. Retribution? That is a human ship, but humans are extinct. Impossible, that ship should not exist. The Grand Speaker stood slowly. Humans. The species that destroyed their own worlds in fire. The monsters of the solar collapse. Are you telling me one of their ships has survived? Saren's voice shook. Yes, Speaker. It is human. For a long time, no one moved. The stories of humanity were ancient. Warnings told to children. They spoke of a species that rose too fast, that built weapons even the stars feared. 3 centuries ago, humanity's final war burned their own worlds and poisoned half a galactic sector. After that, no signal, no colony, nothing. The galaxy had assumed they were gone forever. Now, a single battleship, their last ghost, had returned. The Council security chief, a reptilian warrior named Tarakesh, slammed his clawed hand on the table. Prepare defense fleets. If that ship fires, half this station will be dust. But another voice, softer and full of curiosity, spoke up. It belonged to Erin, the vril diplomat from the Knowledge Guild. Her silver eyes glowed faintly. Wait, if humans have truly returned, we must learn why. They may not come for war, Tarakesh hissed. You speak of peace with the Butchers of Worlds? Erin met his gaze calmly. We speak of understanding. Fear will not protect us. While they argued, the great ship continued to drift closer, silent and cold. No message came from it. No beacon, no threat. Only silence. The silence of something ancient and powerful that did not need to speak. In the observation deck above the council hall, hundreds of civilians gathered by the glass wall. The ship grew larger and larger in the distance, blocking out the light of the stars. Some aliens pressed their hands to the glass in fear. Others whispered prayers. From here they could see the full shape of the vessel. It was long and heavy, built like a floating fortress. The engines at the rear were the size of small moons. Its hull showed damage, deep scars, melted plates, and impact craters, signs of a war fought long ago. Yet the ship was still alive, still moving with purpose. Saren's voice broke the silence again. We are hailing the ship. No response. Attempting all frequencies, static filled the air. Still nothing. The Grand Speaker turned to the Council. Send a message across the network. All fleets must be placed on alert. No ship approaches the Retribution without authorization. Outside, the galaxy's greatest powers began to move. Warships from the Thalvan Empire, the Kras Dominion, and the Vrilon Union started forming a defensive ring around the neutral zone. Thousands of drones spread out like silver dots in space. Every eye turned toward the unknown giant. Inside the council chamber, fear spread like a quiet storm. This could be a weapon, said one delegate. Maybe it carries the plague they once unleashed. Or maybe, another whispered, it carries survivors. Iron listened to them all. She had studied the old human archives, the ones not erased by fear. They told of a people who dreamed big, who reached the stars before any other race. Yes, they fought wars, but they also built wonders. Great cities, art, music, and science. She whispered softly to herself. If humans have returned, perhaps they bring answers. No one heard her. At that moment, the Retribution's engines changed tone. The deep vibration traveled through the void and reached the listening stations. The massive ship turned slightly, aligning itself toward the Galactic Council station. The movement made every fleet captain tense. Position change detected, Saren shouted. It's facing us! The defense fleets locked weapons ready to fire. The massive cannons of the Thalvan warships charged with blue light. For a second, the entire sky looked like a storm about to break, but the human ship did not attack. It simply stayed still, waiting. Inside the command chamber of the Galactic Station, the Grand Speaker whispered to himself, "What do you want, ghosts of Earth?" The communications officer tried one last time. "Unknown vessel, this is the Galactic Council. Identify yourself." For a moment, only static answered. Then, very faintly, a sound came. A voice distorted and low, like it had traveled through centuries. "This is the HSS Retribution. Humanity endures." Every being on the station froze. It was the first human voice heard in 300 years. The transmission ended there. No other message followed. The ship's lights dimmed again and silence returned. Across the galaxy, billions watched the broadcast. On every planet, in every colony, screens showed the image of the massive black ship floating in space. Old fears awoke. People whispered the old name, humanity, the species that once burned the stars. In the Thalvan Empire's capital, Admiral Saitra, one of the most feared commanders in the galaxy, watched the feed with narrowed eyes. "If humans live," she said coldly, "they will bring fire again." But in the research city of Orion, a young scholar named Luro looked at the same image and felt something different. "Hope," he whispered. "Maybe they didn't survive to fight. Maybe they survived to teach us." Back on the council station, the Grand Speaker ended the emergency meeting with a heavy heart. "Until we know more, the human ship is to be observed but not provoked. The galaxy will hold its breath." That night, as the station orbited in quiet motion, Iron stood alone on the observation deck, staring at the dark giant in the distance. Its hull reflected the light of distant stars like an ancient scarred mirror. She whispered softly, "You came back from the dead, but why?" No answer came. Only the silent hum of the stars and the cold shadow of the human battleship watching over the galaxy. Deep inside the dark heart of the HSS Retribution, the hum of machines filled the silence. Dim lights blinked across metal corridors that had not seen movement in centuries. Frost still clung to the walls of the cryochambers, where hundreds of pods stood in long lines like silent tombs. Inside one of those pods, a man's eyelids flickered open. Captain Elias Ward took his first breath in 300 years. The cryo gas hissed away as the pod door opened. He fell forward, coughing, the cold air burning his lungs. His heartbeat echoed in his ears like thunder. Slowly, he looked around the chamber. The air was still, but lights glowed faintly. The ship was alive. A soft, calm voice spoke through the speakers. "Welcome back, Captain Ward. Cryo cycle complete." Time elapsed, 312 years. Elias blinked. "Sargus?" "Yes, Captain," the voice answered gently. "You are aboard the HSS Retribution. Mission parameters have changed. Please remain calm." Elias rubbed his eyes. His hands trembled slightly. 300 years? He looked around. The cryopods near him were all empty or cracked. Many had failed long ago. Only a few glowed faintly with working lights. He stood up slowly, every muscle stiff. "Report, what happened?" The AI paused for a moment as if searching for words. "Humanity has fallen, Captain. The solar colonies are gone. Earth no longer exists as a habitable world." The words hit him harder than any weapon could. He stood still, eyes staring at nothing. His voice broke slightly. "Gone. All of them?" "Yes, Captain. The records show final transmissions from the solar conflict indicate full planetary collapse. All known colonies ceased communication shortly after. You and this vessel were declared lost. Elias closed his eyes. For a long moment he said nothing. He remembered faces, his crew, his family, the bright blue oceans of Earth, the sound of rain on old steel rooftops. All gone. He took a deep breath and steadied himself. Status of the ship? 72% systems functional. Engines operational. Weapons offline unless authorized. Life support at stable levels. Elias moved toward the command deck. The halls were dark, filled with the echoes of history. Every step felt heavy, like walking through time itself. The human banner still hung, faded and torn. The old Earth flag rested behind a cracked glass panel. When he reached the bridge, the main screen came alive with the stars outside. And with them, strange ships. Alien ships, the AI spoke again. We are currently located near the Vrilon Prime system. Unknown vessels are in close orbit. They are attempting to communicate, Elias frowned. Aliens? Yes, Captain. Non-human civilizations. Their language patterns are similar to the ones recorded in early exploration data before the solar collapse. They are transmitting wideband messages. Elias sat in the command chair. The old seat creaked under his weight. His fingers brushed over the console and the holographic controls came alive. Play their message. Static filled the air first, then a strange but clear voice. Unknown vessel, this is the Galactic Council of Vrilon. Identify yourself. You are entering a protected system. Elias looked at the massive fleet of alien ships on the screen. Hundreds of them surrounded the Retribution like small insects around a mountain. He leaned back. They're afraid, Argus replied. Records indicate humanity's reputation may have endured beyond extinction, Captain. My analysis shows high levels of defensive readiness among surrounding ships. Elias gave a tired smile. They still remember us. He thought of what that meant. The fear, the stories, the myths. To these aliens, humans were probably ghosts of war, destroyers of worlds, and now their last battleship had reappeared after centuries of silence. Argus, he said softly, what is our purpose now? The mission was to protect Earth and its colonies. But they're gone. The AI paused. Its tone softened. Perhaps, Captain, we must redefine what it means to protect humanity. If no humans remain but you, then humanity is what you carry within. Elias looked out at the stars. Maybe it's time to remind them what humanity truly was. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council Hall, panic still filled the air. The Grand Speaker ordered fleets to stay on alert. The image of the Retribution was broadcast across the galaxy. Billions watched the black ship drift in silence. Admiral Saitra of the Talvan Empire stood in her command chamber, tail flicking in frustration. That thing shouldn't exist. If they survived, they'll bring their wars here. Beside her, her second-in-command asked carefully, Do you want us to engage? Saitra's eyes glowed red. Not yet. Let them show their hand first. But be ready. Humans are never peaceful for long. Across the stars, others disagreed. In the learning city of Aaron, Luro, a young scholar with bright golden skin, watched the transmission carefully. He studied the ship's markings, the old letters on its hull. He had read about humans all his life, the lost species that gave birth to star travel. He felt curiosity instead of fear. What if, he whispered, they didn't die in war? What if they were only lost? He began sending a report to the council, requesting permission to study the ship's arrival. Back on the Retribution, Elias continued scanning the alien transmissions. They're watching us, he said. All of them. Confirmed, Argus replied. Sensor data shows over 700 active scan attempts. Some fleets are charging weapons, Elias sighed. They think we came for war. Let's give them the truth instead. He activated the ship's main transmitter. The systems hummed, charging up after centuries of sleep. The lights on the hull began to glow faintly blue. The ship broadcast a message in all known frequencies, using universal code. To all who hear this, Elias spoke clearly, his voice calm. This is Captain Elias Ward of the human ship Retribution. Humanity returns not for conquest but remembrance. We seek truth, not war. The message spread across space like a quiet echo. For a few seconds, no one responded. Then the galaxy erupted in debate. Half the council refused to believe it. The other half wanted to listen. Lies, shouted Admiral Saitra. Humans know only war. But Aaron, the diplomat from Vrilon, stood up. He spoke of truth. That is not the language of conquerors. Luro, watching from Aaron, smiled faintly. He knew what he had to do. He sent a personal message to the council. Allow me to meet them. I will go myself. Inside the human ship, Elias was reviewing ancient records, the last transmissions from Earth. He saw the cities burning, the people fleeing underground. Then the signal ended. He whispered, "We were supposed to protect them. We failed." Argus responded gently. "You kept them alive in memory, Captain. That is not failure." Elias stood and looked out the wide glass window. The alien fleet sparkled like stars in the distance. He thought of what the AI said. Humanity is what you carry within. "I won't let our memory be fear," he said quietly. "If this galaxy remembers us as monsters, then we'll show them the truth." The AI replied, "Then what are your orders?" Elias looked at the stars. "Open our hangars. Prepare the beacon. Let them come. Let them see us for who we were." Far away, Iron and Luro finally received permission to lead a small delegation toward the Retribution. Their mission was clear: make contact if possible. Learn if humanity was truly alive. As their small vessel left the safety of the Council fleet, thousands of eyes followed them. The galaxy held its breath, and deep within the ancient human ship, Captain Elias Ward watched their approach with calm eyes. For the first time in centuries, the last son of Earth was no longer alone. He whispered, "Let's begin again." The great black shape of the HSS Retribution hung motionless among the stars. Its surface shimmered faintly in the dim light of Vrilon Prime's sun. Around it, fleets from 100 worlds floated in careful silence, ready, but not daring to move. Every ship in that circle had its weapons charged, its shields raised, and its crew waiting for a single mistake. The galaxy had seen wars before, but nothing compared to the fear of seeing humanity's last battleship awake again. Inside the Galactic Council's chamber, tension filled the air. Voices overlapped. Screens showed live feeds of the human ship from every angle. Admiral Saitra of the Thalvan Empire slammed her tail against the floor. "It's a trap. They send a message of peace while they charge their weapons. They're waiting for us to approach before they strike." Across the table, Iran of the Vrylan diplomatic circle spoke calmly, though her heart raced. "There is no evidence of weapon charge. Their shields remain inactive. Their ship moves slowly and makes no aggressive move." Saitra hissed, "That's exactly what they want you to think." But another voice joined the debate, young and full of energy. Luro of Aaron, the scholar who had studied ancient human history, stood at the edge of the council table. "I volunteer to make contact," he said firmly. The entire chamber fell silent. "You what?" Saitra said sharply. "I want to go to the human ship," Luro repeated. "We can't let fear decide our actions. They may have survived a great fall. Maybe they seek to talk, not fight. Someone must learn the truth." The Grand Speaker turned toward him, eyes deep and thoughtful. "And if you are wrong, young scholar? If they are what the old records claim, destroyers?" Luro bowed his head slightly. "Then I will see it with my own eyes and not through the fear of others." There was a long pause. Finally, the speaker nodded slowly. "Permission granted. You will not go alone." A few hours later, a small diplomatic shuttle left the safety of the Council fleet. Its silver hull gleamed faintly against the black of space. Inside, Iron sat beside Luro in the cockpit, her expression calm but serious. Behind them sat two security officers from the neutral worlds, silent and alert. As their ship drifted closer to the Retribution, its massive shadow swallowed them. The human battleship looked like a city of steel floating in the dark, covered in old scars and burns, proof of many battles long past. Approaching the human ship, Aaron said softly. Her hands trembled slightly over the controls. "Docking systems active." Luro watched through the viewport. The closer they came, the more detail they saw. Markings written in old Terran script, massive cannons sealed shut, and hangar bays large enough to hold cities. "Look at it," Luro whispered. "They built this not for power, but survival." A voice came through their ship's radio, deep, steady, and human. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the human ship Retribution. Identify yourselves." The sound of his voice made everyone on the shuttle freeze. Hearing a human after centuries of silence felt unreal. Iron replied carefully, "This is Diplomat Iran of the Vrilon Council. With me is Luro of Arin, scholar of history. We come in peace, Captain Ward." There was a pause. Then the voice returned. Docking Bay C will open for you. Welcome aboard. The shuttle entered a giant hangar filled with faint blue light. The walls were marked by age and dust, but everything was still functional. As the engines powered down, the doors opened slowly. The first thing they saw was a figure standing at the edge of the landing platform, Captain Elias Ward. He wore an old dark uniform, its fabric clean but clearly from another time. His face was pale from cryosleep, his eyes sharp and deep. Behind him, the soft lights of the ship's AI core flickered, the presence of Argus, the ship's intelligence. As Iran and Luro stepped out of their shuttle, they felt a strange mix of awe and nervousness. They were the first beings in centuries to meet a human face to face. Elias nodded politely. Welcome aboard the Retribution. Iron bowed slightly. Captain Ward, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we thank you for allowing this meeting. He studied them quietly. 300 years and the galaxy still remembers humanity, though not kindly, I suppose. Luro stepped forward. Many remember fear, but some remember your courage. For the first time, a faint smile crossed Elias's face. Courage. That's a word I haven't heard in a long time. He gestured toward the corridor. Come, walk with me. There's much to explain. They followed him through the ancient ship. Every hallway told a story. Walls patched with old metal. Screens showing faint flickers of human history. Signs of a civilization that had once reached for the stars. Elias led them to the command deck. The view outside showed fleets of alien ships surrounding them. The galaxy watched every move. This ship, Elias said quietly, was humanity's last refuge. When the solar conflict began, we built it to carry survivors. Scientists, families, children, anyone we could save. But our engines failed and we drifted. Cryosystems kept us alive. Luro's eyes widened. So your people didn't vanish in war? Elias shook his head. We fought to survive, not to conquer. But history remembers war louder than peace. Iron looked at him closely. Do any others live aboard? Elias's expression darkened. No, cryosystems failed over time. I am the only one left. A silence filled the room. Even Argus, the ship's AI, seemed to pause. Luro spoke softly. You carry the memory of an entire species. Elias nodded slowly. And the responsibility not to let that memory become a weapon. Just then, Argus's calm voice broke the quiet. Captain, incoming transmissions. Multiple sources. Some appear aggressive. Elias turned toward the screen. Dozens of red markers appeared. Fleets from the Thalvan Empire moving closer. They're advancing. Arn said quickly. They were told not to engage. Elias's voice stayed calm. Old fears die hard. Argus added, Admiral Saitra of the Thalvan Empire has issued an ultimatum. She demands surrender of the human vessel or she will open fire. Luro's heart sank. They'll start a war over one ship. Elias took a deep breath. Argus, activate defense shields but do not fire unless fired upon. Confirmed, Captain. The alien fleets began to circle tighter. Bright lines of energy formed as their weapons charged. Across the galaxy, every communication channel exploded with panic. Billions watched as the past threatened to repeat itself. Iran stepped forward. Captain, please, if they fire, you must not retaliate with full power. If you destroy them, all races will unite against you. Elias nodded. Understood. But I will not allow them to destroy this ship either. He looked at the screen. The flagship of Admiral Saitra stood at the front. Its cannons glowing, then light flared. The first shot was fired. It struck the Retribution's shields, spreading like a wave of blue light. The human ship shuddered but held strong. The sound of impact echoed through the decks. Shields holding, Argus reported calmly. No major damage. Elias's voice hardened slightly. Return a warning shot. Minimal power. A single beam of white light left the Retribution's side. It passed through space and struck one of the Thalvan cruisers. Not to destroy, but to disable. The cruiser went dark, drifting harmlessly. Every fleet stopped. The entire galaxy watched in shock. The human ship had defended itself, but with restraint. Elias opened a channel to all frequencies. His voice was steady and clear. To the fleet surrounding us, humanity does not seek war. We seek only the truth of what became of our kind. Do not mistake our silence for weakness or our strength for violence. His words echoed across the stars. Inside the Thalvan flagship, Admiral Saitra clenched her fists. She could not deny what she had seen. A battleship powerful enough to destroy her fleet, Yet it held back. Perhaps, she whispered to herself, they are not the same humans from the old wars. Back on the Retribution, Luro looked at Elias with quiet admiration. You could have destroyed them? But you didn't. Elias's eyes were calm. If humanity is to return to the galaxy, it will not be through fear. It will be through understanding. Aaron nodded slowly. Then maybe, Captain Ward, there is still hope. Elias turned back to the stars. Hope is what kept us alive. Outside, the great ship drifted in silence again, the battle avoided, for now. But across the galaxy, the legends of humanity were being rewritten. No longer monsters of the past, but survivors who carried wisdom born from pain. And as the stars reflected off the ship's scarred hull, the galaxy watched. Not with horror this time, but with wonder. The void around ViewerShip was alive with tension. The HSS Retribution floated calmly among the orbiting fleets, its massive hull scarred and blackened by centuries of drift and battles past. Though its engines glimmered faintly, no one dared approach without caution. Every observer knew that humanity's last battleship could unleash power unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Inside the ship, Captain Elias Ward paced slowly across the command deck. The bridge, lit in soft blue, reflected the stars and alien fleets outside. Beside him, Argus, the ship's AI, spoke in its calm, neutral voice. Captain, sensors indicate multiple hostile vectors. The Thalvan Empire has deployed the entirety of its combat fleet. Their ships are in firing position. Elias nodded, his eyes fixed on the dark expanse of space. They still do not understand. Humanity does not strike first. Argus, prepare all systems but maintain defensive posture. Yes, Captain, Argus replied. The message had already spread across the galaxy. Billions of eyes were glued to communication feeds, watching as one ancient battleship faced a modern armada. Many expected humanity to attack. Some prayed it would not. Inside the Thalvan flagship, Admiral Citra watched the same scene. Her claws tapped on the console impatiently. They are too strong. Every shield reading shows maximum capacity. Their energy signature surpasses anything in our archives. Her second-in-command hissed. We could overwhelm them with concentrated fire, Admiral. They cannot hold indefinitely, Citra shook her head. No, if we destroy them, the rest of the galaxy will unite against us. Let's see what they intend. Back on the Retribution, alarms began to hum softly, warnings of approaching projectiles. The first salvo of missiles streaked across the void, their engines glowing orange against the black. Argus spoke quickly. Incoming ordnance. Shields at 70% capacity. Recommendation defensive maneuver. Elias stood calm and deliberate. Hold steady. Do not fire unless we must. The missiles struck the shield with tremendous force. The hull shuddered, but the massive defenses held. Blue light rippled across the outer surface, a brilliant display that reflected the sheer scale of the human ship's design. Iran and Luro, who had remained aboard for observation, gasped. Luro's hands trembled slightly as he whispered, They said humanity was extinct, and yet this ship stands against all of them. Argus's voice remained serene. Captain, countermeasures ready. Autonomous drones deployed. Defensive rail cannons powered at 50%. Elias's lips curved into a faint smile. Let them see. But no one dies today. The Retribution slowly came alive. Massive rail cannons emerged from the hull with quiet precision, long barrels stretching across the stars. Drone swarms launched silently from hidden bays, their small forms flitting like silver birds. The energy shield hummed like a deep tone, a warning of power held in check. From the observation deck, Iran and Luro watched as the alien armada hesitated. Some vessels activated emergency shields, unsure if the humans would strike. Elias's calm voice cut through the tension. This ship is not built for conquest, but it is built to endure. Argus displayed real-time data of the surrounding fleet. The ships closest to the Retribution were being nudged gently by the energy pulses from defensive shields. Disabled, but not destroyed. The humans were showing restraint, a strength the galaxy had almost forgotten. Luro's eyes widened. It is beautiful. They fight only to defend themselves. The Thalvan flagship hesitated. Citra frowned. They could destroy half my fleet in a single strike, and they choose not to. In the chaos of the standoff, smaller fleets from neighboring systems began to join. Some hesitated, unsure whether to attack or retreat. The human ship's presence alone altered the galactic balance. Legends of humanity, feared for their destruction, now radiated an aura of awe. Elias moved to the main console. Argus, prepare a full broadcast. I want them to understand humanity survives not for war but for memory, for wisdom, for life. Argus projected a hologram visible to all nearby ships. The figure of Elias Ward appeared in calm, resolute light. To every fleet that observes us, we are not here to conquer. We are here to exist. We are humanity, the survivors of a lost world. Strike us, and you will face power, yes, but also justice. Resist, and we shall remain. No more, no less, the fleets froze. Across the galaxy, billions heard the message and paused, some in fear, some in awe. Iron whispered, "He is showing them mercy, strength guided by wisdom. This is something new." Luro's eyes sparkled. This is what humans were always meant to be. In space, small skirmishes began. A few enemy ships tested the Retribution's limits. Each time, the human ship responded with precision, disabling engines, redirecting energy, but never causing unnecessary destruction. Entire fleets were held at bay by a single vessel. Argus's voice remained calm throughout. All enemy vessels accounted for, casualties minimized, defensive measures successful. Elias nodded slowly. The galaxy is watching. Let them see the truth. Humanity fights only when necessary, survives when required, and shows restraint when possible. On the council station, broadcasts of the battle reached every corner. Scholars, leaders, and civilians watched in amazement. Ancient myths about humanity as destroyers were challenged in real time. The last humans were not monsters. They were survivors holding knowledge and power beyond comprehension, tempered by morality. Even Admiral Satra felt unease. She had planned war, expecting the human ship to act like the legends said. Instead, she saw precision, intelligence, and mercy. Perhaps we misjudged them, she admitted quietly. Across the stars, smaller species sent messages of inquiry, of curiosity. Some began to move closer, wanting to witness the ship firsthand. Inside the Retribution, Elias watched the approaching ships through the viewport. They are curious now, he said softly. They want to see humanity, not destroy it. Luro, still observing, whispered, This is hope." Elias's expression softened. Hope kept us alive when everything else was lost. And now it can guide the galaxy too. Argus issued a final report. Captain, all hostile vectors neutralized. No ships destroyed. Defensive systems will remain active for observation. Elias leaned back in his command chair. The vast expanse of space stretched before him, filled with alien vessels, each unsure, each watching. He spoke to Argus quietly. Prepare our historical archives. We will show the galaxy who we were, and what humanity can be. The AI's soft tone answered, Acknowledged, Captain. Outside, the Retribution floated, massive and scarred, yet alive. Its hull reflected the light of the stars like a living monument. It was not merely a ship, it was a symbol of survival, of wisdom, and of the human spirit. The galaxy had expected a monster. Instead, it received a teacher. And in that silent moment, the legends of humanity began to change. Fear became respect. Horror became awe. Across the stars, countless beings whispered, Humanity lives, and it is magnificent. The HSS Retribution floated silently among the stars, its massive hull glinting faintly in the light of distant suns. Around it, fleets from countless civilizations kept their distance, their weapons lowered, their crews watching in awe. The galaxy had expected a monster, but instead, it saw strength tempered by restraint. Humanity's last battleship had shown the universe a different kind of power, one built not on conquest, but on survival and wisdom. Inside the command deck, Captain Elias Ward sat in his chair, his eyes scanning the stars. Beside him, Argus, the ship's AI, monitored the surrounding fleets. Argus status report, Elias said calmly. All fleets are maintaining position. Communication channels remain open. The Council and allied species are requesting formal discussions, Argus replied. Elias nodded. Then it begins. Send the invitation to all fleets. A meeting aboard the Retribution. In the Galactic Council station, the decision was met with mixed reactions. Some leaders remained wary, still haunted by the myths of human aggression. Others, like Luro of Aaron, felt hope stirring. The humans have shown restraint, Luro said quietly to Iron. They could have destroyed fleets, yet they did not. They choose understanding over fear. This is what legends should remember. Iron nodded. It is time for the galaxy to see humanity as it truly is. Not as monsters, but as survivors, teachers, and guardians. The first delegation arrived aboard the Retribution. Small crafts from the Vrillon Union, the Krast Dominion, and the Aaron Scholar fleet docked cautiously. From each vessel came curious faces, eyes wide with a mixture of fear, respect, and disbelief. Elias greeted them personally, standing tall on the bridge. His presence, calm and deliberate, carried authority not from violence but from centuries of survival and knowledge. "Welcome," he said. "I am Captain Elias Ward. You have seen our ship, our defenses, and our restraint. You have watched us endure. Now you will hear our story." He gestured, and Argus activated the holographic archives. Images of ancient Earth rose in glowing light. Oceans, mountains, forests, and cities bustling with life. Then came the colonies, shining worlds that humanity had reached before the solar collapse. Next, the ruins and images of destruction, of abandoned cities, of fires and storms. The audience gasped. "These are the worlds we lost," Elias said softly. "We did not vanish because we desired war. We vanished because we fought to survive, because the universe is vast and dangerous, and because even the strongest species can falter." Luro stepped forward. "Your people survived centuries alone in this ship?" Elias nodded. "Yes, this vessel carried our last hopes. Cryosleep kept us alive. And now we have returned to remind the galaxy that humanity's story does not end with destruction. It continues with memory, with learning, and with action guided by conscience." The delegation was silent, absorbing every word. Many had heard tales of humans as conquerors, but here they saw proof of another reality. They saw mercy, restraint, and intelligence. The legends were incomplete. The Retribution was rewriting them in real time. Argus projected star maps of humanity's lost worlds. "These worlds are uninhabitable," the AI explained. "But the knowledge and culture of humans can be preserved and shared." Erin addressed Elias, her voice soft but filled with purpose. "Captain Ward, your presence has changed the galaxy. Fear has given way to curiosity, and curiosity to respect. What will you do next?" Elias's eyes scanned the holographic displays. "We will not conquer. We will teach. We will assist. Humanity's greatest weapon was not its strength, but its ability to learn, adapt, and survive. Now we offer that gift to the galaxy." Outside, the alien fleets watched the displays beam to every vessel. On each ship, beings of every kind, reptilian, insectoid, crystalline, and more, observed the human captain and his massive vessel. For the first time, stories of humanity were no longer warnings of fear. They were examples of endurance and wisdom. Even Admiral Satra aboard the Thalvan flagship lowered her claws from the console. "They are not the monsters we feared," she murmured. "They are remarkable." As the hours passed, more delegations arrived. Scientists, scholars, diplomats, and students came aboard the Retribution to witness humanity's legacy firsthand. They walked the ancient corridors, marveled at the technology, and studied the archives. Many asked questions about human history, culture, and philosophy. Elias and Argus answered patiently, sharing the knowledge humanity had preserved: mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and engineering. Every question was met with honesty. The alien visitors began to realize that humans, though scarred by war, were capable of creation as well as destruction. Luro walked alongside Iron, observing the reactions. "They are learning, aren't they?" he whispered. Iron smiled. "Yes, they are seeing that humanity survived not because of strength alone, but because of wisdom, mercy, and perseverance." Weeks passed. The Retribution became a center of diplomacy, science, and culture. Alien ships docked not with weapons ready but with open arms. New alliances formed, built on the example of restraint shown by the last human battleship. Captain Ward watched the activity from the bridge. He felt a quiet pride, tempered by sorrow for the lost worlds. But he also felt hope. Humanity's story, once thought finished, was now a lesson for the galaxy. Argus spoke quietly. "Captain, your decisions have changed the course of history. The galaxy no longer fears humanity. It respects it," Elias nodded. "Then our duty is clear. We will continue to survive, to teach, and to protect the memory of all who came before us." One day, Luro stood before Elias on the bridge. "Captain, you have done something incredible. The galaxy sees humans not as a threat, but as an example. This is the legacy of your people." Elias smiled faintly. The legacy of humanity is not in warships or weapons. It is in courage, in resilience, and in the choice to act wisely. If we survive, it is to prove that even in darkness a species can shine. Iron joined them, looking out at the fleet still orbiting the ship. Your actions have united more worlds than centuries of diplomacy ever could. The galaxy will remember this. As the sun of ViewerShip rose over the horizon, its light reflecting on the black hull of the Retribution, the ship seemed to glow with new purpose. No longer a ghost of war, it was now a beacon of hope. Across the galaxy, messages spread. Stories of humans surviving alone in space, showing mercy, teaching, and guiding, were broadcast to millions. Children on countless worlds learned that humanity was not a cautionary tale of destruction, but a lesson in perseverance and wisdom. And for the first time in centuries, humanity's name was spoken with respect, not fear. Elias stood on the observation deck watching the stars. He thought of Earth, of lost colonies, of friends and family gone. But he also saw the galaxy, alive, curious, and ready to listen. He whispered to Argus, "We have returned, not as conquerors, but as teachers. Let the galaxy learn who we were, and who we can be." Argus replied softly, "Captain, humanity's legacy has begun anew." The HSS Retribution drifted among the stars, not as a weapon but as a symbol of survival, of mercy, and of hope. The galaxy, once fearful, now watched in wonder, inspired by the courage and wisdom of a species thought lost. Humanity had returned, not to rule, not to destroy, but to remember, teach, and endure. And as fleets approached the ship with flags of peace instead of weapons, one truth became clear: the galaxy would never forget humanity again.